If you are in my class, you can download some of the information that you need from our Google Classroom. If you are not, then you should check out Tiffany Fox Resources, T-Fox Resources on Teacher Pay Teachers for all of the handouts and rubric and slideshows that go along with this project. Link in the description down below. In this video, I'm going to show you how to do the project stone alphabet name, and we're going to create our name with a stone alphabet. And the real purpose of this project is to learn how to shade better and to learn how to use value better. You'll remember from the last video I demonstrated how to do this W, and I used a mechanical pencil to do it. For this video I'm going to use a regular number 2 pencil. This one was bought at Office Depot. And I'm going to use this handout, which you can look in the description down below to get. If you do not go to Gulfport High or you're not one of my students, you can go online to Teacher Pay Teachers to get it. But for this video, I'm going to use it, and if you're one of my students, you can print it out from our Google Classrooms account. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is look at this piece of lawn. This is where our name is going to be, right? And so in order to do this, I have a 4-inch, it's 4 inches this way and 18 inches this way, and I have a ruler that is 12 inches long. You'll notice on this ruler that the 0 does not start on the very edge of the ruler, not the very end, but in a little bit, and it's actually marked 0. Be sure and check your ruler to see how it is labeled. In this case, 0 is not on the edge. Then I'm going to take my ruler and I'm going to put the 0 on the edge. Anywhere on this top edge will do fine. And I'm going to put a mark at 1, 2, and 3. That gives me an inch right here, an inch right here, an inch right here, and an inch right here. And I'm going to move it down to the middle, partly because my ruler is not long enough to go from one end to the other. I'm going to put my 0 again on the edge of the paper, the top edge, and I'm going to put a mark on the 1, the 2, and the 3. If you need to pause the video so you can keep up, please do. And rewind if you need to. 1, 2, and 3 on this end. Now I can simply put my ruler right there on those 2 lines. Hold the ruler down firmly. And draw a very light line. Remember, you're going to want to get rid of this line at the end. You're going to want to get rid of this line when you're finished. There are no outlines in nature, and there's not going to be any outlines on our stone letters. Connecting this dot and this dot, and I'm going to draw a line all the way through to the very end. Now I've got a line that goes across the top. I'm going to do another one that goes across the middle. The one that goes across the middle is more for helping me to line everything up and measure and make judgments about the drawing. And I'm just going to draw it real lightly from one end of the ruler to the other. And again, I'm going to put it on that dot and this dot and connect it all the way through to the end very lightly. And then I'm going to do the same thing right here. Put it on the line, put it on this line, draw a line. Come back over here, put my ruler on my pencil right here, hold it down firmly, and again draw that line. So now you should have three lines that go all the way across the paper. My stone alphabet is going to fall in between these 2 lines in the middle of the stone alphabet right here. This is one option how to do it. This is sort of the minimum. If you have a unique idea that you want to try out, please, by all means, try it out. But just keep in mind, we're trying to shade and get good at shading. All right, so for mine, I'm going to do simply Chad.B. You know what? Nope, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do Mr. Brown. Mr. Brown, Mr. Brown. It'll be like a little name tag for my classroom. You must do a minimum of 5 letters. A minimum of 5 letters for this assignment. that goes for Mr. Brown's class. All right, so first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look over here. I'm going to find the M. So let me scoot this over so you can see everything. In this, I've got a reference sheet. It's got A through Z, and I'm going to find the letter M, and I'm going to draw it using what I know about lining everything up and proportions and all of that. I'm going to look at this. I'm going to find where I want the side to be. Right here looks good. And then if that's the side of the M there, how far over here is this side? Again, I'm looking at proportions, and I want to try and get it as proportionate as possible. And then where is the back side of the M? Probably about right here. Now if I do that, like that, I'm going to have, if that's the size, the correct size, then I'm going to have M, R, B, R, and I'm not going to have room for my whole name. So that's okay, because I do have 2 sheets of this paper. So I will do the rest of my name on these second sheets of paper. All right, so back to the M. I want to do it that way because this looks proportionate to what I've got right there. I want to keep my letters proportionate with what's on my reference. So got the M. It's got like a little middle part of the V, middle part of the top of the M right there. There's a little piece taken off right there of that corner. It's a little bit jagged back here. Comes down a little bit and sticks out a little like that. This side's got like kind of a notch taken out of it. Now, I've already done something wrong. I wasn't paying attention. Look at how this has a angle to it. Let me zoom in a little bit. So the top of this M has an angle to it, and I almost forgot about that as I was doing this. So I want to be sure and get that angle in there. So I'm going to put my pencil on it right there, slide it over. Same thing on the other side. There's an angle right there. And then I just changed some of this stuff up. Don't let me forget the inside and the top. So the top of it doesn't just go straight across like that. It has like an angle that goes down the same as up here. In order to get more of my name to fit onto this piece of paper, I'm going to draw the R behind the M a little bit, which I think will kind of squeeze it in a little bit and be just fine. Notice the center of the R is almost straight up and down, a lot like the center of the M was. So about right here, I'm going to just go straight up and down. Up here, I'm going to do this angle. The back of the R goes this way. Then the front of the R goes this way. Again, let me check that angle. Now this R looks a lot fatter than this R that I've drawn, so I'm going to redo all of that. I like how spread out this is, so I want to do the same thing here. Notice how the front of the R right there and the foot of the R kind of like line up. So I want to make sure that they do that here too. And then it goes straight back. Notice the bottom of it is just sitting flat. It's as if we are eye level with the bottom of all of these letters. So and there is a, look at how far this letter is from the top, from the sides and all that. Try and line everything up. And don't forget the bottom of the letter, the opening in the bottom. Also don't forget the crack in the top. And the chip off the top. And so begins the shading. I'm going to start with the lightest side of the letter first and shade it in, working from the lightest to the darkest. I put a piece of paper towel underneath my hand in order to prevent grease or oils from my hand getting on the paper and prevent some smudging. You also have to be careful with the paper that the paper doesn't rub back and forth, because the paper itself will smudge your shading, especially once you actually have some shading down anywhere under there. Notice how the front of the letters are lighter, and I'm actually going to take this eraser and erase some of that pencil. You can tell, I think, in the video that it is still darker than the white paper, but I've lightened it up quite a bit with the eraser. Now, you do not have to have each side a solid color. You can slowly change the value from a dark value to a lighter value if you want to, and that will kind of give it a sense of realism if you can make it transition slowly. It's called a value gradation. Again, I shaded in the left side of the R, but I'm going to eventually take my eraser and go back and erase some of that out so that it is slightly darker than the background, slightly darker than white, and then I'll make sure that the dark side is darker. I erased it a little bit because it was too dark, and then I've come back and kind of evened it out some. Remember, no finger smudging. We're trying to keep the oils and grease out of our artwork, and do all of the shading with the pencil. It takes a little while to do it at first, but the more you do it, the better you get at it. Then I started on the B, erased into it a little bit. I eventually decided I really need to go back and erase all of the lines. Not so much that I can't see them, but enough that when I do shade it in, they're not prominent. Because remember, we're trying to get rid of the outlines. One of the two of the major things that we're trying to accomplish here is no finger smudging and no outlines. Thirdly, we're also trying to achieve a level of realism we've never achieved before. And I think everybody can get pretty excited about that. It's hard, especially if you've never done it. You may not know how to do it, but if you will attempt it, you can probably figure it out. You're trying to achieve a sense of realism with these letters by shading them appropriately and not having any outlines. Once I got the final letter shaded in, I went into the background. Now, you might have thought that I'd already made the letters, or at least some of the holes in the letters, as dark as I could make them. But as you can see, I'm making the background even darker. And what this does is it creates a kind of a void in the background, almost like outer space. You don't really notice the dark as much as you notice what the light is shining on. And I want it to look like the light is shining on my letters. I want to make it look like the light is shining on the stone alphabet that I've worked so hard on. So I am making the background sort of disappear by shading it in really dark, and it makes the letters pop out. You'll also notice that I am not taking the time to shade the whole background in completely black. I'm doing it darker around the letters and fading it out as I get towards the top and the middle of each letter, the space between the letters, that is. You can always get darker, so start out fairly light and continue adding layer and layer and layer to get it darker. That's it. Hope you enjoyed it. Good luck. Go make some art.